Good afternoon, everybody. On this Tuesday, February 4th, 2025, I've got all of your news here in one place for your rush hour ride home. On today's episode, we've got Bachelor's Greg Grippo being interviewed by Trading Secret podcaster Jason Tartick on whether or not he would become the next Bachelor. I'll share what he has to say. Plus some Super Bowl updates. We've got Travis Kelce being interviewed on Media Day about his relationship with Taylor Swift. What makes her so great? Here's the secret. She bakes Pop-Tarts. You've never broken up with someone who makes a good Pop-Tart. You know that. Also, we'll have our Blake and Baldoni updates. Blabo, or whatever you want to call them. Bloke? What's the nick? Jake? What are their names? We'll give all the updates as the big sort of initial court date has come and gone, and now we're sifting through the rubble of all of these new documents. I'll tell you my thoughts on the sort of contract she didn't sign. We made a video today. We'll give you updates on that. All right, American beer is back in Canada now that the tariffs have been paused, the can kicked down the road. And speaking of the tariff pause, plenty of people think the U.S. got played on this one. Let me know what you guys think. We'll hear from some pundits as they say, oh, Mexico and Canada, they did one over on us. And El Salvador in the news as they agreed to house our criminals. Are we going to send some of our American citizens to El Salvador? I'll share that bizarre and crazy alarming story with you, plus much more, all coming up next on The Rush. All right, up first here, we need to feed Bachelor Nation. Let's get to our first story. Jason Tartick, the man with the wonderful hair, again, takes one to know one, right, folks? Here in a nice cardigan talking to Greg Grippo and Justin regarding if Greg Grippo would become the next Bachelor. Here's what he has to say.
All right, if they called you to be the Bachelor, would you make that career move?
They wouldn't call me to be the Bachelor.
But if they did?
But if they did, I mean, that'd be tough. That would really be a tough conversation. I mean, I think I'm at a point in my life where I'm extremely happy where I'm at, especially like
Justin's giving you looks. He's doing the standard looks.
Here's the answer. You got to say this. I'll go on the show, but I'm not going to look at one comment for 2 years on my social media. Here's what I would do. I would say I'd go on the show for $200,000 or whatever you go on for. I'd say, give me access in my rider, if they really wanted me. I would say, give me a social media person to handle my social media. It's bad for your mental health. I don't want to go on the show and then have to deal with the internet for several years. I need a buffer zone because, he went through hell and back on Katie's season. Everyone hated Greg Grippo. And this is a great example to remember. He wasn't a terrible guy. It was just a kind of not that into you situation.
What are your looks saying right now?
I was just listening.
You're the king of looks. What were those
looks.
eyes saying?
Go ahead, spill the beans.
What were you thinking? You think he's full of shit?
No.
No, you like his answer.
Yeah.
Okay, so then why are you giving looks?
I think he would make a great lead if. I think he's underselling himself. I think that he could get a.
I think he definitely get a phone call.
Get a call.
Wait, why are you so certain they wouldn't?
Yeah,
call?
It's not that they wouldn't call him; it's whether or not he wants it. Greg Grippo is one of those instant bachelors. I mean, Tyler Cameron is the biggest instant bachelor. He's in a relationship now. But of all the single men that have ever been on The Bachelorette, Greg Grippo is probably top 2 that people would go crazy for.
Tell you, I think if you look at I think you're probably top contender of 11.
Exactly.
I mean, it's been years at this point.
But it doesn't matter. Nah, I'm
what are you talking about, mate?
Fucking old.
All right, so then they turn it on Jason Tartick and say, what about you? Now, I would say that Jason Tartick and Greg Grippo are top contenders for Bachelor. Now, Justin Glaze, another interesting conversation. Not sure if he's with Susie. They've kind of had on again, off again, but wish them all the best. All right, here's some good news for you. The LA Wildfire Fire Aid concerts raised $100 million. Donations are still pouring in. They, of course, did this giant concert. They had every single musician who performed raise money separately through their different social medias. Good on them. And actually, speaking of raising money, we have a story for you which is kind of interesting regarding one of the cuts that is happening in our government. Bill Gates reacting to Elon Musk's attempts to shut down USAID, the agency. This is a multi-billion-dollar sort of, I guess, I don't want to call it a philanthropy arm of the U.S. government, but it is there and it is, does a lot of good across the world. People might argue our country shouldn't be footing the bill for it. Here's what Bill Gates has to say.
Well, I admire the great private sector stuff he's done. SpaceX, Tesla, both amazing companies. I think in the case of USAID, he doesn't appreciate the phenomenal work that goes on. It's not partisan work. It's nutrition. It's avoiding.
He says it's beyond repair.
Well, I give billions of dollars to the same thing that USAID does. I go out in the field and study these things. I hire scientists. And so, I think if he really knew the work there, he wouldn't be telling 10,000 people not to come and do that work.
Yeah.
Now, and this is one of the problems, right, when it comes to cutting money, is there's multiple ways to get a surplus in our government. There's cutting expenses, and I understand, the government's become too big and things like that. But then there's other things that you can do. And this, to me, is a little tick-tacky because like Bill Gates says, he's donated billions of dollars. Now, maybe we could tax our billionaires at a higher level so that we could, if we focused on the tax code that makes those that are worth so much money, the Elon Musk, the Bill Gates, give more in taxes to our country, then we could spread that out in a way that provides, child, daycare issues, or, single, maternity leave, paternity leave, things that I think would benefit our country would be great. Instead, it's like we're cutting off little things here and there, $1 billion here, $1 billion there. It really doesn't add up to a large, significant amount. And in the end, if we're going to cut all these government jobs, where are these people going to work? You know what I mean? So we'll have to see how it all plays out. It's interesting, but you also can see how fragile Bill Gates is here, because he doesn't want to piss off another billionaire. That's the other issue, is that Elon Musk, yeah, he's done good things, but also he's bought his own platform. He's inside the government. They're finding that there's literal 19 to 24-year-olds working for him with government access that don't have any previous credentials. It's just ripe for issues, and we're going to have to see how it all plays out. We'll get to more of the tariffs at the end of the chat. Chiefs versus the Eagles, Super Bowl ticket prices are tumbling, I should say. I mean, I don't know why. It looks like it'll be a good Super Bowl, and who doesn't want to go to Nolans? I know I would love to be in the Big Easy. According to Game Time, a tickets resale app, get-in prices for this weekend's Kansas City Chiefs-Eagles matchup are trending downwards. The lowest ticket costs $4,300. Okay, so not exactly giving them away. Still a small fortune, down from $5,800 last Friday. But either way, I mean, look, this is a product of TV technology. Who wants to get up off of their butt when you got your own 65-inch TV? You got that recliner set perfectly. The wings are in the crock pot. I mean, who needs it? Who needs to go hang out with some person coughing behind you, giving you COVID, right? All right, well, speaking of staying home and cuddling, I'm sure Travis and Taylor will be doing that once the season ends. But he is now commenting on what Taylor Swift is good at, not just selling out stadiums, but also baking her ass off. I'll get into this story next. Well, here it is. She's not just the queen of pop, she's the queen of Pop-Tarts. Here's what Travis Kelce had to say. I mean, gosh, it must be exhausting having people ask you nothing but questions of your girlfriend. Although, hey, if she can bake, let her bake.
I think we're both, we love to manifest things for sure, and you can't say it's not real because we're here, right? So whatever she was doing, I'm sure it helped, and it definitely, for me not being able to be here supporting her during those weeks, it made me feel like I was there. So, she is quite the cook. I would say. Oh, man, I'm a breakfast guy, man. Her Pop-Tarts are unbelievable, man. Homemade Pop-Tarts, unbelievable. Where will I be in 3 years? Oh, man, I don't know. Hopefully still playing football.
Does Taylor Swift like that? She's like, no, you're with me. Now, listen, Taylor Swift's busy enough. Maybe this is great. To know that your partner's got a busy schedule so you can both do your creative endeavors. I mean, this could be the perfect relationship. The problem would be when they both retire. And, what are they going to do? Just make Pop-Tarts for each other all day long? Maybe. I don't know. What I would give to do a food review of Taylor Swift Pop-Tarts. If somebody out there has a connection for your boy Dave Neal, send me a Taylor Swift Pop-Tart. I'd love to know. I'll drive over there to Kansas City. I'm only a few hours away. Let me know and I'll get that Taylor Swift connection. And by the way, we'll get into the Blake Lively story as well. A lot of people want to conflate what Blake Lively's done with Taylor Swift, and I'm not buying it. I'm not. I'm on Team Taylor. Been on there for a while. In fact, my mom was in town, and she, my mom's a sucker for conspiracies. She is. If something feels like a conspiracy, my mom just believes it. But either way, my mom's like, "Do you really think that they're together?" And it's like, listen, what person that's worth $100 million, Travis Kelce, and $1 billion, Taylor Swift, would hang out with somebody that they're not together with? Are you kidding me? He's in the prime of his youth. He'd be slinging you know what and not taking, he would be doing just fine if he wanted to be single. No, of course they're together. That's ridiculous.
I love doing this. I love coming into work every day, and I feel like I still got a lot of good football left in me, but we'll see what happens. I know I've been setting myself up for other opportunities in my life, and that's always been the goal, knowing that football only lasts for so long. You got to find a way to get into another career, into another, profession, and I've been doing that in my off seasons, but for the most part, I plan on being a Kansas City Chief and playing football.
There it is, and of course, he shows the sort of pathway out of football. Chad Ochocinco, is that his name? He just revealed on a podcast that he made $100 million in his career playing football, and he spent $100 million. He declared bankruptcy. Isn't that incredible? So the fact that Travis Kelce is probably going to end up making more money podcasting and doing other ventures than he did on the football field just goes to show he's a hard worker, and the dude likes to work, and nobody works harder than the internet. And we are getting all new information from the Justin Baldoni-Blake Lively court case. It's a little bit of a quiet time now that the court has commenced. The judge has made some different opinions known after yesterday's hearing, and we might get new information from Blake Lively. But in the meantime, people are digging up all aspects of this case, including what might be going. And again, there might be some confirmation bias here, so we have to be aware of that. But this Deadline article reemerged from 2023. 1923 star, the TV show, Brandon Sklenar signs with WME. So WME is one of the largest agencies, and it's obviously one of the biggest. So I guess the theory is, he must have signed with them because Blake Lively helped him out, and maybe that's what is helping his loyalty. I don't know if that's the case. What would be interesting is to see what all the actors, who they are signed with agent-wise, and see if maybe Blake was able to help them out, or maybe Ryan Reynolds was able to help them out. We'll probably see this more over time. Will they be in any Ryan Reynolds movies? All because it asks the question, why did the actors all side with Blake Lively versus Justin Baldoni? Again, the more simpler explanation would be that Justin Baldoni is a creep, but there's a lot of signs pointing towards the cast picking sides and maybe picking the wrong side. All right, well, today we covered on the YouTube channel a 30-minute video about why Blake Lively didn't sign her contract and then use that leverage, as Justin Baldoni claims, as extortion and threats against them. Well, now we have our pal over here, not actually Golden, the lawyer we love, who shares her insight into not signing a contract. As she explains, sometimes a contract is implied, and even if you don't sign on the dotted line, just knowing that it's there, you don't need the formality of the signature because it's implied that you're operating by that contract. But even with that implication, it doesn't mean you still can't use it against that person. Here's what she had to say.
It's not unusual for people to, not do the administrivia of actually putting a signature on an employment contract, particularly creative people. But I do think it's a little bit of insight into how this whole thing went, especially if he is able to prove, as he also alleges, that she never signed the nudity rider either until they came back from after the strike. So, yeah, it's definitely worth keeping our eye on, I think. And one more thing that Frank just reminded me of. This is the kind of stuff that motions to dismiss could talk about. So, people wondering, what's that going to look like? And we won't know because they're not due until March. But this is the kind of thing that you would file a motion to dismiss over, to say, you have a claim in your complaint for a violation of a contract that never existed. Therefore, this case shouldn't go forward any more beyond that.
No, of course, there's lots of complaints. So maybe they do get rid of that complaint. But as we covered, Justin Baldoni, they asked for the certificate of engagement many times. They didn't want to put Blake's fee into escrow until they received it. So, well, again, we'll see how this all plays out. But now we're setting the deck for all of these different arguments. And just on a character side of things, this isn't in the court, Blake Lively got the women's first and second AD fired on the set. The first and second AD is assistant director. The first assistant director is one of the highest positions of people that work on the set, day to day. And let's see why she got him fired.
Blake Lively got the first AD and the second AD fired, and they were both women. I'll take you through it. It's page 33 on the timeline. Wayfair was made aware that Lively called the Sony executives talking about some issues that she was having. Behind their back, by the way. If you look at number 3, it says, Lively shared her grievances about the first AD, suggesting that she be replaced. She and the second AD, who is also a woman, were shortly thereafter let go.
And what's interesting with this is the first AD and the second AD, their job in part is it's kind of like almost like a military leadership position. They are there to control their production assistants, to control first team, which is Blake and Justin. The first team is basically like the stars of the show, and they're kind of there to make sure people are doing their job, getting there on time, and the thing runs smoothly. They are the oil in the machine. That's what the AD department is. And to get them fired, it could be a result again of Blake not wanting to be told what to do. That's what it could be, which we will cover more in as we look at the psychology of that all. All right, I've got multiple videos I want to get into regarding some of the things going on in our country. I think it's fair to talk about. This first one, I'll tell you what, if you don't enjoy the political news, I get it, but also you can have your head in the sand all you want, but there's some pretty wild things going on, including the next clip I'm going to share with you, which is evidence that we may start deporting, I say we collectively as the United States, we may start deporting prisoners that are American citizens to El Salvador. That would be insane. I've got that story coming for you next. Now, in order to not make this some sort of partisan thing, I'm going to share CNN's response and Fox News's response to this tariff war that was created and, I guess, solved for the next month. But first, here's Marco Rubio, U.S. Secretary of State. And by the way, this is complete gaslighting and manipulation. I'm going to let you know where and why. But listen to how he tries to sell a gigantic violation of our American rights. Have a listen to this.
The president, in an act of extraordinary friendship to our country, knowing the challenges we face in the U.S., has agreed to the most unprecedented and extraordinary migratory agreement anywhere in the world.
Oh, it's just a migratory agreement. The president has done such a fantastic job. Again, these guys, their knees are bruised from the you-know-what going on here with the president.
He has agreed to accept for deportation any illegal alien in the United States who is a criminal from any nationality, be they MS-13 or Tren de Aragua, and house them in his jails.
So the leader of El Salvador says, I will take your illegal aliens that have committed crimes. Now, the press secretary for Trump says any illegals that are here are considered a criminal because it's a crime to be here illegally. So what we used to call an illegal was a dangerous one, a violent criminal. And now they're saying, no, if you're here illegally, that's a crime, therefore you can go. Which, again, is an argument in and of itself. But listen as they try to explain the next part.
And he's also offered to do the same for dangerous criminals currently in custody and serving their sentences in the United States.
Whoa. So they've got an agreement where they're going to remove criminals in the United States to another country? Well, what if they're wrongly convicted? What if so their family can't come do visits? I mean, how many issues are there now? By all means, the U.S. has a prison system problem. It's a for-profit problem, and we house way too many people in jail. I mean, the prison system should be a path to get back into society after you're done with your quote-unquote punishment. But this is very scary stuff. I think we're going to hear more about this. But the scariest part is the willingness of this sort of, dare I call him, dick-riding government employee who's trying to sell this to us as an extraordinarily positive measure.
Even if they're U.S. citizens or legal residents.
So he leaves it at the end. And they're going to house, hey, they're going to give us housing. We all wanted housing, right? Well, how about this good housing? You like Central America? You like great housing? What if we take the criminals and get them out of our country? If you are a legal citizen here, you should not be living in any fear, because then what might happen? What if you're arrested under false pretenses? What if someone plants a little cocaine in the back of your trunk? Next thing you know, oh boy, you're going to San Salvador. I don't think so, not on my watch. All right, Steve Ratner says Trump's Canada border concerns are complete hocus pocus. So as we saw, he threatened tariffs in Canada, he threatened tariffs in Mexico, then they worked out a deal. The bootlickers are saying, no, this is amazing. Look, art of the deal. Here we have people saying on both sides of the aisle, it's not really, we didn't get anything out of it.
There is no issue in Canada with immigrants or with fentanyl. Something like 1.9 kilos of fentanyl crossed the Canadian border last year. You could put that in my coffee cup, basically.
So they're saying the reason why Trump used fentanyl as a reason to offer these tariffs because of the issue is because that was the only way he could do it with executive power. Well, I'm sorry, if there's no fentanyl issue, you can't have that executive power to say, well, there's a giant threat to our country. The fact that people are using that as a good thing is disturbing, because that means the president's lying about the reason why he's taking some of these measures.
I wouldn't recommend that, though.
No, I wouldn't drink it, but you could put it there. And we have no noticeable immigration across the northern border. So all of this is complete hocus pocus just to somehow placate Trump. On the Mexican side, there are issues, and we have been trying to deal with them. If you look at the fentanyl situation on the left chart, you can see fentanyl use actually peaked a couple of years ago. It actually went up a lot during COVID. COVID was a big driver of overdoses and opioids and things like that. It's been coming down. And the amount crossing the border has also been coming down a bit. AMLO, the previous Mexican president, frankly, wasn't that great about the border and fentanyl. But the new president, Sheinbaum, has been focused on already, again, before Trump showed up. If you look at the right side, you can see on immigration, yes, it went up a heck of a lot under Biden. But interestingly enough, people crossing the border between legal ports of entry, between official government posts, is now lower than it was when Trump left office. The rest of the people are coming in here effectively legally.
All right, so they're coming in legally, again, through the system. That's why I think more money needs to be spent on the judicial process to process these people as they come through. All right, but Trump got rolled here. I mean, again, I'm going to share what CNN said, and I'm going to share what Fox News had to say.
Quote, Canada is bending the knee just like Mexico. Is that what's happening here?
This is hilarious to me because Trump got rolled by both of these countries, and no one, least of all Trump, seems to have realized it. Both the leaders of Mexico and Canada have agreed to do what they have already been doing.
Exactly.
It's just that Trump didn't seem to know about it.
No, I think he knew. I think it's like a save face type of thing. So here's Fox News commenting on saying that Trump caved in these tariffs.
I'm not too impressed with the Canadian response, frankly. I mean, the fentanyls are, I don't know what that's going to do. And I guess they'll have a few helicopters flying at the border. I mean, it's not nothing, but they were going to get slapped with 25% tariffs, and now those are gone for at least 30 days. I'm not sure what's going to happen in 30 days. Maybe some other concessions, but I think President Trump saw a huge negative reaction to this, as I know you predicted, I predicted, from Wall Street, from the markets, from all the establishment types. Do you think he reacted to that? Or maybe some of his advisors said, whoa, we gotta rethink this?
Yeah, look, it's all bark and no bite from the tariff standpoint. And the question people are asking is, who's going to call Trump's bluff? Well, at the very least, if you're Canadian and those tariffs are now relieved, you can pop some American champagne.
So we just found out that apparently the tariffs won't be applied, at least for 30 days. But for those who are fans of American booze, I can tell you we'll be putting those back on the shelves. And
they're like, you know what? We don't need the Bud Light, but we're fine. Yeah, that tasted like piss anyway. All right, so there's your episode. You got it all. You got your tariffs news. You got your global geopolitical updates. You got Blake and Justin. You got Greg Grippo. Could you ask Taylor Swift? Could you ask for any more? Hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. If you're on the audio, please give us a good review if you like what we do. It helps us with the algorithm. And share us with your friends. Thank you guys all so much. We'll be back in the morning. I'm Dave Neal. This is The Rush.